All right, brothers, answering internet questions here. 17-year-old male, I want to learn self-defense, not any particular martial art, something that's actually useful. All right. If I could go back in time and be 17 again, so I was a junior in high school when I was 17, I would do wrestling. Okay. So first semester, so wrestling for us was typically first semester winter sport. I started ramping up October, November. So I would do wrestling my junior and senior year, those first semesters. The rest of the year, I would find like boxing or kickboxing gym, and I would do that. Um, the reason being is that's going to give you a solid foundation for grappling and for stand up. And it's going to give you a mental and physical conditioning that the other high school sports just aren't going to get you. Okay. So I would start with that. So again, wrestling throughout the season, and then try to do boxing, kickboxing for the rest of the year. Now, let's say you're graduated, you're 20 years old, something like that, and you're like, well, it's hard to find a wrestling program. So I was training and fighting at the peak of MMA between 2008 and 2012, and I was only fighting locally here. But I trained at the top gyms here in Arizona in the Valley, and they didn't have wrestling classes, the jiu-jitsu classes and boxing and Thai boxing classes, but they didn't have wrestling classes. And then even once you got onto the fight team, we had days where we learned to wrestle, and it was usually the guys who wrestled in college, or if we had an Olympian on the team, then they would show us stuff, but they didn't have a dedicated wrestling class. If they did have a wrestling class, and I see that more now, it was usually geared towards kids. So as an adult, 25, 30 years old, it's hard to find that. So what I would do personally, again, if I'm 20, 25, maybe pushing 30, because it's a little hard on the body, I would do judo and then boxing and kickboxing. And the reason being is because for self-defense, I don't want to go to the ground. In jiu-jitsu, we learn to be comfortable on the ground, which is great. And you learn a lot of fantastic techniques and how to defend yourself, and that's awesome. But I don't want to go to the ground. Things happen on the ground. Your environment is going to affect it. Here in Arizona, majority of our environment is asphalt, concrete, and gravel. It's not soft at all. So going to the ground is going to suck. The other part is 6 months, 4 to 6 months out of the year, it is very, very hot, and you can get second and third degree burns by laying on the ground for too long. So I don't want to go to the ground. I'm also a dad. If I have my family with me, I don't want to go to the ground. That limits and restricts me from being able to needing to defend them if there's multiple assailants. Okay. I want to be able to get up and get away as quickly as possible. So I would do judo and then some type of stand up art like boxing or kickboxing. Then I would get into jujitsu.